As I walked my fingers across the spines, the books in one of my bookcases, I felt like I was visiting old friends. Each one of them told the story I remembered, some better than others. But in looking for a book to tell you about this week, I landed on one I hadn't pulled from my shelf in a long time. Hi, my name is Patricia Hampl, and welcome to episode 31 of the Life Writers Vlog, where you can find inspiration and useful tips to help you write your life stories. When I was in graduate school for creative writing in the late 90s, well into my 40s, and some 20 plus years after I received my bachelor's degree, the program I was in required I read and write about a lot of memoirs and essay collections, which wasn't really a chore at all, as much as I love to read memoir. But it was at least 50 or 100 books. So it was a lot. My graduate advisor introduced me to this author, Patricia Hampl. And I read a number of her books, and all of them were so well done. They were just a joy to read. All of them are memoir based. Today, let's look at a collection of 11 essays Hampl wrote in a book called I Could Tell You Stories. I love so much what she says in here about memoir and about writing and reading. She covers all kinds of topics in here. I thought I would share a few of her quotes with you, ones that resonate with me a lot. The first one here is on page 18. She says, because everyone has, in quotes, a memoir, we all have a stake in how such stories are told. For we do not, after all, simply have experience. We are entrusted with it. I love that. We must do something, make something with it. A story, we sense, is the only possible habitation for the burden of our witnessing. Love that. I think it's just so beautiful. The next one I want to read to y'all is on page 27. She says, it still comes as a shock to realize that I don't write about what I know, but in order to find out what I know. I like that. I've heard that from a number of different authors said in different ways. The next one is from the next page, page 28. Here she's talking about first drafts. And she says, I try to let pretty much anything happen in a first draft. A careful first draft is a failed first draft. I really do like that. It is true. We have to give ourselves freedom to write what Anne Lamott would say, shitty first drafts, in order to get to what it is that we're trying to say. We've got to give ourselves that freedom. This next one is a metaphor, which I thought was an excellent way to describe it. This one's a little long, but she says, personal history logged in memory is a sort of slide projector, flashing images on the wall of the mind. And there's precious little order to the slides in the rotating carousel. Beyond that confusion, who knows who is running the projector? A memoirist steps into this darkened room of flashing, unorganized images and stands blinking for a while, maybe for a long while. But eventually, as with any attempt to tell a story, it is necessary to put something first, then something else, and so on to the end. That's a first draft. Not necessarily the truth, not even a truth, sometimes, but the first attempt to create a shape. She's talking about the first draft and the freedom you've got to give yourself. In this collection, she takes a lot of her personal experiences and lifts them to a more universal level where it's no longer just about her, but something many can relate to. Particularly, that's true in the essay form. It starts out with something personal, but then it rises to something more than that. The formula she uses a lot in these essays is a good one, I think, for essay writing. She gives a little bit of background information, sets the stage somewhat, then she tells a story, and then she begins to examine it philosophically. I really enjoyed this visit with Patricia Hampl's words again, this return visit. These are all my notes I have that are still, oh my God, all the front and back cards. This is how I did my study of all the books, filling things out on these cards. They're still in the book. I enjoyed this, and I hope you did too. What's a book you have on your shelf that feels like an old friend to you? What is it about this book that makes it feel that way? How did you come to know the friend? Tell us about it down in the comments section below. I'd love to know more about your love of books and about one in particular that happens to stand out in your mind today. And remember what we say here all the time is the only way to do this wrong is to not do it at all. Thanks, everybody. I hope to see you again next week.
If you enjoyed this week's episode, you will love our Life Writers membership. Whether you don't know where to start writing your life stories, have started and stopped many times, or have been writing but want to receive feedback to make your stories better, the Life Writers membership is where you need to be. We have a Get Started roadmap, an extensive library of instructional videos, live events via Zoom, and a supportive and active community. If you want to take the stories that live in your heart and mind and put them onto the page, check out Life Writers at lifewriters.us.